There we go. Stephanie, can you hear me on the? Okay. Technically, we have a minute. See if anyone else will show up. There are some chairs.
We have another member online.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. All right. Excellent. Thank you. So it is now 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. First, let's establish the quorum. Let's just do a roll call across the table.
Adam Carrington, Secretary.
Nancy Held Sheehy, Vice Chair.
Steve Thornquist, Chair.
Bob Harrison, regular member.
Karen Muller, regular member.
Adam Carbone, alternate.
Thank you. All right. So we have a quorum. We have a full committee and an alternate. First item on the agenda is the approval of prior minutes. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any concerns or comments about the minutes as they were presented? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, we have accepted our minutes. The meeting was duly noticed and published. And I have to read these, right?
Sure.
Well, no, I don't have to, right? Or do I? You're telling me I have to.
You should put it into the record.
Right. Okay. Legal notice was published in the Connecticut Media Group, which includes the New Haven Register, the Connecticut Post, the News Times, the Advocate. Anyway, it was published in the newspaper of record for the community, which as required by law. And the legal notice was published on the town website and reads that the town of Bethany will hold a special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission on July 8th, 2026 at 7 p.m. to address the following 3 items: the zoning regulation moratorium on new warehouse facilities. Number 2, Hopbrook Storage Samuel Taubel's application for a special permit to change the use of a structure to a place of worship. And a 3rd item, which was Christopher Flanagan at 45 Beacon Road to discuss a permit submission of a 40 by 40 foot personal use garage. That application has been withdrawn, so that hearing will not be going on tonight. And those are all on file and have been available for review for anyone who was interested. There are no publications or commission actions to report. Are there any actions that the zoning enforcement officer would like to report at this time?
No, it's a special meeting. It's not on the agenda.
Oh, you're right. Well, it says commission action. But in any event, there's been no correspondence. We have 2 bills. One is an invoice from Mr. Peck for services rendered for June 2026 to the amount of $2,000, and that was in the packet. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll move that we pay that bill to hiring.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on it? You have it in your packet. Seeing none, unless there's objection, we'll accept it and move on. And then we have a invoice from our recording service for $150 for the appearance and recording and transcript. Is there a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Well, actually, unless there's objection, we'll accept it. There's no reason to take a vote. It takes too much time to wait. To sit around and vote on things that we're going to accept it unanimously anyway. Now we move on to the public hearings. The order on the agenda as published was number 1 was the application by Christopher Flanagan that has been withdrawn, so that will not be a hearing. Number 2 is the application 26-2SP, a special permit submission for a house of worship at 43 and 51 Russell Road by Samuel Taubel. I'm probably not saying that name right, but I'm sure I'll be corrected soon. All right. And is the applicant here? All right. You have the floor. There's a microphone right there. It should be on.
You to the commission. My name is Samuel Tauble. I'm the pastor of worship and care at Stillwaters Community Church, which is the church that's applying for this application to occupy Hot Brick Storage LLC's building at 43 and 51 Russell Road. All of the materials we've submitted are available online, but we right now our congregation is made up of just over 50% of Bethany residents, and we desire to be in this community, to be a blessing to the community, to serve the community, to partner with the community. We have gatherings on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Right now we have about 50 to 60 people that attend. And then during the week, we have offices at 41 Village Lane, where we hold all of our meetings, all of our special gatherings. And so during the week at the property at 43 and 51 Russell Road, we will have very little traffic, very little activity going on during the week. So yeah, we're here to request the approval of this special permit for our house of worship to occupy that building.
And this is a building that has already been approved and is being built now.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So this is just to change the use thereof.
Right.
You have 50 to 60 people?
Yes.
That's a lot of space for 50 to 60 people. You can play football in there.
Yes, the hope that we have is that we will grow to, the point of this was to allow us to have some room for growth.
Mm-hmm. As by my calculation, you should be able to fit about 250 people in the space in a normal theater setting or theater seating setting.
Yeah, we've been approved for 180 persons by the fire marshal.
Oh, right, I saw that.
And we have parking that's adequate for that number.
Yes, you have 79 spots.
Correct.
Which is about half that number, which would work out pretty well. All right. Are there any other questions?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. It's public. All right. Any other questions?
It is Sunday only.
No.
Sunday morning for our corporate worship time.
You mentioned another place where you have meetings.
Correct. We have an office space that we occupy full time during the week. Yeah.
I would just assume though, to your comment though, Christian worship, you would have like Christmas Eve or Good Friday, any of those services are not traditionally on Sunday. So when I read your application, you said that there would be an occasional evening meeting.
Correct.
In addition to church business or community groups, occasional worship does fall out of Sunday.
Yes. To clarify, there will be some minor midweek activity in a normal week, and then on special occasions like Good Friday, Christmas Eve, things like that, we'll have services as well.
Okay. Most places are closed Christmas Eve, but Good Friday, maybe not. How are you going to square that with the people that are currently there?
So that will be a discussion between the tenants, and also we'll have to work that out with the landlords as well, the greeters.
Okay. And what is the timing of the midweek meetings? Is that during the day or the evening?
That would be in the evening.
Okay. All right. Other questions? We have any comments from the public? Are you finished?
I am. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Wild, and my address is 61 Russell Road. And I also have 2 copies of my statement as well as supporting documentation.
Great.
Yep, W-I-L-D-E.
W-I-L-D-E,
L-D-E.
Wild. Okay.
Yep.
Like Oscar.
Yep, exactly.
And are you?
So our home, just so you're aware of like kind of where we are, has direct line of sight of the rear side of the new building. And I guess we're probably like 100, 150 distance wall to wall. So that's where we are. So I've prepared a statement and I'm just going to go through it if you guys don't mind.
Please.
All right. So by profession, I work in regulatory affairs for the medical device industry, where my job is to determine whether the evidence generated is sufficient to support approval of an application. That experience has taught me one simple lesson. Good intentions are never enough. The record must be complete, consistent and supported by evidence. Now, I have no objection to churches or to people practicing their faith. If this were a hearing simply about welcoming a church to town, I would not be speaking tonight. However, this hearing is not just about a proposed church use. It is about whether the record tells a complete and consistent story of the property. Just over a year ago, in June 2025, this property was presented to the town as a low-intensity industrial site for artwork creation and storage with no public use and a maximum of 5 occupants per day. When construction began, I spoke directly with Mr. Grieger. He assured me that the new building would not change the character of the property. We shouldn't expect any increase in traffic, noise, or activity. When I expressed concern about losing the tree line that had provided privacy for my family, he told me he understood and he planned to install a landscape buffer of mature evergreen trees. Based on those representations, my family accepted the project in good faith. We believed we understood what was being built and we chose not to oppose it. Today, the commission is considering a proposal that bears little resemblance to what the town and neighboring property owners were originally led to expect. The current proposal prompted me to dig into the property's regulatory history. As I did, my primary concern shifted. It was no longer simply whether the proposed change in use was appropriate or whether the application was complete. It became whether the record itself provides a reliable baseline from which the commission can evaluate the change. The record contains a series of inconsistencies that make it difficult to determine what has actually been approved, what has been constructed, and what uses currently exist on the property. Without a reliable baseline, it becomes difficult for the commission to make the findings required for a special permit approval. I'll offer 3 examples, individually none of which would necessarily cause me to oppose the application, but taken together, they reveal a pattern that makes it difficult to rely on the record before you tonight. First, the approved site conditions. The certificate of zoning approval for application 2025-006 required the applicant to submit a as-built plan demonstrating that the site landscaping and drainage improvements had been completed in accordance with the approved plans before the building could be occupied. An as-built plan dated June 1st, 2026 was submitted, yet the landscape buffer shown on the approved plans still does not exist on the property, and likewise it is unclear from the record whether the approved stormwater plans were completed. Second, the parking record. Over an 8-month period, the commission was presented with 3 different parking documents. The September 23rd, 2025 approved site plan demonstrated compliance with the industrial parking requirements by showing 57 spaces while stating that the striping was only to demonstrate zoning compliance and was not intended to be installed across the property. Then in May 2026, as a part of the current application, Hotbrook Storage submitted a revised site drawing, quote, allowing additional parking for the church's uses at 43 and 51 Russell Road, end quote, adding 22 parking spaces to the previously approved layout. That drawing is dated February 17th, 2026, just 8 days after the ZBA hearing, where the property owner testified that the building was being constructed exactly as approved for art restoration and denied any misrepresentation regarding its intended purpose. Then just a few weeks later, a June 1st, 2026 as-built plan appears in the record showing 85 parking spaces, none of which are visually depicted, while still calculating the site's minimum parking requirements under the industrial standard, not the public assembly standard. What remains missing from the record is a proposed parking plan demonstrating compliance with all available or all applicable parking and loading requirements for a property with both approved industrial uses and proposed public assembly use. While the parking raises one set of unanswered questions, the tenant use record raises another. Application 2025-009 was approved to establish the property's tenant use for NERPCO USA LLC. The statement of use describes an industrial operation involving welding and machinery manufacturing. However, Connecticut's Secretary of State records indicate that NERPCO USA LLC had been administratively dissolved since August of 2023, and state records appear to list a completely different business address dating as far back as 2016. In addition, the state record shows Custom Sheet Metal LLC associated with Eric Scott Russell lists 51 Russell Road as its business address, yet based on the records I was able to view, I did not find a corresponding tenant approval or statement of use for that business in the current property record. While there may be explanations for each of these issues, together they raise the larger question: has the existing use of the property been fully and accurately documented before the commission considers an entirely new, higher intensity use? Now the commission is being asked to approve a place of public assembly with a documented fire marshal determined maximum occupancy of 180 people. In just a matter of months, the building has gone from an approved use for art and storage with 5 occupants per day to a building capable of accommodating 180 people at one time, with no clear evidence in the record addressing how multiple services or special events would affect daily traffic, parking, loading, and emergency access, particularly access to an appropriate water source in the event of a fire. That's not a minor modification. It's a 36-fold increase in occupancy and a complete transformation in how this property will function. And this isn't occurring on an otherwise vacant property. The proposal would introduce a 180-person place of public assembly onto a site that already supports multiple commercial uses. Based on the records available to date, at least 4 active LLCs appear to be associated with business operations at 43 and 15 Russell Road. The commission isn't evaluating a church in isolation. It is evaluating whether this property can safely support all of these uses together. It is exactly why the special permit process exists. I understand why the church is looking for a new home, but that isn't the question before the commission. The question is whether the application or the applicant has demonstrated with evidence that this property is appropriate for that use. The burden is not on the neighbors to prove that this project is inappropriate. The burden is on the applicant to demonstrate that every standard required for a special permit has been satisfied. This case isn't just about Russell Road. Every neighborhood in Bethany depends on one simple promise. When the town approves a project, the approval should reflect what will actually be built and how it will actually be used. If a property can evolve from a 5-person industrial use into a 180-person place of public assembly without fully demonstrating that the site, parking, traffic, emergency access, wastewater capacity, buffering, and surrounding neighborhood can safely support that level of activity, then every neighborhood in Bethany should pay attention. In closing, I respectfully ask the commission to remember why the special permit process exists. This decision is not about whether the applicant has good intentions. I'm sure they do. It's about whether the evidence before you is sufficient to support the findings required for approval. Tonight, you're not being asked to approve the building that was described to the town just a year ago. You're being asked to approve a 180-person place of public assembly on a property that was previously approved as low-intensity industrial site with no public use and 5 people and multiple existing commercial tenants. That's an extraordinary change. And before the commission evaluates a change of that magnitude, it should first be confident that the property's approval baseline condition has been clearly established. Based on the record before you tonight, I don't believe that has yet been determined. The commission should be able to answer with confidence and evidence what is the current approved and documented uses for the property today. Has the applicant demonstrated that the site can safely support this level of occupancy, including parking, traffic, emergency access, ADA, buffering, and the cumulative impacts of all existing and proposed uses? Has every finding required for a special permit approval been supported by substantial evidence in the record, not by assumptions or expectations? If the answer to any of these questions is we don't know yet, then I respectfully submit that this application is not ready for approval. At a minimum, I ask that the public hearing remain open until the applicant provides the evidence necessary for the commission to make the findings required for a special permit approval. I also ask that any outstanding conditions of prior approval be completed and verified before additional approvals are granted. Finally, while I understand it was not a condition of approval, I hope that the property owner honors the commitment he made to me to install a landscape buffer of mature evergreen trees to help restore the privacy lost during construction. That commitment was one of the reasons why my family accepted the original project without objection. In the end, my overall request is simple: apply the regulations exactly as they were written, require the applicant to establish a complete and reliable record, including compliance with prior approvals, then decide on this application based on the evidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to ask that we try to refrain from applause because it can stifle further comment from people who might disagree with what you're applauding. So I'm going to just ask that you just respectfully listen to everybody and not cheer or applaud or boo. Okay? No, I understand why you did it. Just please don't. Is there any other comment? I saw a hand go up, and they're behind the podium, so.
Patricia Ryan, 83 Russell Road. I object to this place being utilized in a different manner than what it is originally agreed to. I live on 83, as I stated. Cars speed, the traffic is unbearable on Russell Road. I've talked to Green Light. I have, there's been 2 accidents on that street within the last year and a half. One car flipped at 8 o'clock in the morning and the other hitting a utility pole in the evening. Russell's more of a residential road than it is an industrial park. And I oppose on this zoning board approving this applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes. Hi, I'm Bob Malenko Jr., 21 Full Hill Road. This is my wife, Lori.
Hi.
My parents, we're here on behalf of my parents. They live on 55 Russell. And we object to it. A lot of regulations that aren't being followed through. And
So the first thing I want to ask is, do you have the QVHD septic approval?
For a 180-person house of worship, yes.
Was it from Brian Slagowski? Or was it from, do you have the actual permit or do you have an analysis by Brian Slagowski?
I have a letter
The
from
latest
KVHD.
letter stating its acceptance
Yes.
for 180 occupants.
Okay, that's not a permit though. And Brian doesn't work for QVHD. So I highly
It's
question
on the
that letter.
QVHD letterhead.
I highly question that letter from Brian Slagowski.
To his point, it's on QVHD letterhead. So are you stating that somebody is impersonating?
I'm not stating anything. I could tell you,
it should be verified before it's accepted.
we know the Slagowski family personally, and I know Brian would not do that. He does not work for QVHD. The actual permit is very restricted. The actual permit makes it so they cannot have Sunday school, they cannot have food, and they cannot have an office. Do you have that permit?
It's in the file.
It's in the file, so it should be in the file.
So what I have, now, this is on a QVHD letterhead. Are you alleging that that is forged?
I'm not alleging anything. I am telling
It's a
you
public hearing.
that Brian does not work for QVHD. It is
Unless
not
something
signed.
changed.
It is not signed by Brian. It is not dated. It does not have anything about Brian. It doesn't have his phone number. It doesn't have.
It does have his phone number.
That is incorrect, that phone number. I know his personal and his private phone number, and I am just telling you, I highly question that letter from Brian.
Okay, moving on.
No, the QVHD permit is the QVHD permit, and that's what you need to look at. A
Right.
permit is a permit.
And the permit states that they hate.
The permit states no offices. They cannot have an office in there.
Can I
they-
finish what I was going to say?
I'm sorry.
I was going to finish my statement. And I was going to say that the permit, what we have here states 180 worshipers maximum can be tolerated. It states nothing on this letter about a school, and therefore I cannot conclude that they would endorse the use of this building for a school. If the permit agrees with that, that's fine. I haven't seen the wording on the actual permit that Kurt says we have. But nothing on here allows for either an office or a school. And Reverend, when he stood up, did not say he was using this for an office or a school. He said it was a worship place. Am I misstating what you
No,
said?
that's correct.
Okay, I just want to clarify. So keep going. I just want to say that what we have here is pretty much consistent with what you say. Be careful what you say here, because it is a public hearing,
Absolutely.
and you are essentially impinging, or you are.
But I want everybody to be in agreement that UVHG set the rules that they can't have food, they can't have Sunday school, and they cannot have an office. I'm
Alright.
just trying to get
Just, yeah.
all in agreement.
I'll give you the floor in a moment, but I'm going to let her finish because she's in the middle of her thing, and I don't want to start this being a huge back and forth. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the first thing I want to say is that building is not ready for occupancy because there's no drainage system there. I received the as-built plan from Curtis, and there's no drainage system in there. We have cameras on our driveway. We've never seen him install a drainage system. What is there is a swale that he built on the side of this man-made mountain, a swale that he built into the wetlands. All of the storm water from the property is diverted into this swale, and it runs directly into the wetlands and to our property. So the drainage system presented by John Paul Garcia was never built. Instead, his runoff goes right into the wetlands. The builder told the commission he was going to build a 25-year storm drainage system composed of a recharger 330 XL HD drainage system, and that wasn't done. This move in its entirety is against Section 402 and 404 of the Federal Clean Water Act. The other issue is the builder created a mountain that slopes directly into our property. It violates Regulation 911-0. Cut and fill slopes shall not be steeper than 1.3 unless stabilized by a retaining wall. There's no retaining wall, there's no clipping. It's impossible to do because he built that mountain all the way to the end of our property line. He also violates Regulation 911. Design in any construction zone, including any related roads, drainage, and other improvements, shall be executed in such activity it will not cause erosion, flooding, or deposit on the property developed or any surrounding properties. ADA compliancy. As per the Department of Justice regulations, for every 10 spaces, you need a 15 by 20 handicap spot. For every 25 spaces on that lot, you need a 16 by 20 van accessible spot. And for every handicap space, you need accessible sidewalks. They must be 3 feet wide and must lead from the handicap space to the front door of the building. You can't simply wheel yourself through a parking lot or behind parked cars. Sidewalks have to be concrete or asphalt, and they need bright yellow signage and colored ground stripping. I've noticed throughout town that there's not so much importance on the ADA compliancy. I have 3 ADA advocacy groups waiting to see what's going to happen here today. The first one, I already gave the information to Carol. The first ADA advocacy group, I gave all of the information to Carol about what towns are responsible, and the other 2 are waiting to intervene as to what's going to happen here today. So the other regulation, there's no parking 90 feet from a property line when a commercial zone abuts a residential zone. Blocking garage doors. under the 2022 Connecticut State Fire Safety Code, any overhead garage doors that can serve as a means of egress or emergency access, it has to be remain unobstructed. You could see on the parking schematics that he has those doors blocked. Regulation 95-1C.
Could I ask a question just on that? And this would be, we don't have to answer it now, but are those doors specifically going to be used for emergency egress? And I say that relative to aircraft. We can put doors on an aircraft or windows, and I don't necessarily use them for emergency egress. So that would be my only point on that.
Correct.
Just because the door is there does not necessarily mean it's factored into emergency egress.
Correct, but the Connecticut State Building Code also states required accessible routes, means of ingress, and fire department access must remain unobstructed. Parking spaces should not be located in a manner that blocks it's because of the intended operation. It's the intended use of it, not just it's the visual. Because a fireman is not going to go there and he's not going to know if that's used or not used. That's not his job.
But I'll take a look at it, but what you mentioned was that pertaining to emergency egress.
Right.
That if it's designated as a means of emergency egress. I know from aircraft,
Right.
we will designate what are the means of emergency egress and what is not.
And
So if this follows a similar fashion, I'm just pointing out, and we can read it, just because a door is there may not mean it's emergency egress.
correct, but it's also a split decision as far as an emergency person.
But if it comes to, if it just comes down to a law, if it has to be defined as emergency egress,
Right.
that's what I'm pointing.
I got you.
If I find, because I'm going to basically go to regulations.
Yeah, please.
And if it needs to be defined as emergency egress versus just another door or window, I'm like I said, I'm just trying to point out that.
I understand what you're saying.
So pursuant to that point, I will point out there's also a hand-drawn diagram of the layout of that building as it's planned to be constructed and used. And there are 3 36-inch doors on there. There's
Right.
2 of which are designated as exits, 1 of which is designated as an entrance. Now, to that point, if those are the designated exits, it's different than what you're talking about with the big overhead doors, which may not be operational during the use of this building. I will point out, to your point as well, though, that this exit and this entrance do immediately spill into the parking area. This one, however, does not.
Okay. And you'll also notice from that chart that there are 3 rooms designated for Sunday school.
I was wondering what SS meant, but thank you.
So that can't be, obviously.
Well, is that going to come down to a decision? Is Sunday school a school? If it meets, because I saw Sunday school noted in the application.
Yeah, I don't see it here on the
It
approved.
was mentioned in the
from
minutes
QVHD.
last
Yes,
meeting.
it was mentioned in the minutes last week. But they did mention, but you did not mention it today. You said that happens at 41, another address. I don't know.
That's what I want.
Okay. So anyway, finish. I'm sorry. We disrupted you.
The next regulation, 95-1C, all parking must remain on the same lot that it serves. These are 2 separate properties. 43 and 51 are 2 separate properties. They were sold as 2 parcels and they remain as 2 parcels. That was already discussed at length They remain as 2 separate lots, 2 separate parcels, so they cannot put parking on 43. Regulation 95-2. Loading spaces that nobody ever talks about, but it is in the regulation manual. Loading spaces are mandatory for every commercial or industrial building. They need one 15 by 25 loading space for each 5,000 square foot of gross floor area. And these spaces have to remain unobstructed. So every building in the BNI district has to have loading spaces. Also, Regulation 951B, adequate loading spaces are needed for all tractor trailers visiting the property. I have pictures of several tractor trailers visiting that property. So tractor trailer spaces are needed when you're looking at the parking schematics, especially for Versteeg art fabricators, because they use that parking lot extensively. So is he going to make room for Versteeg? I don't know. Are they going to have their own separate area? Or is Versteeg going to get told that they can't do this anymore? But they continuously use, look at that big tractor trailer and that big piece of art.
May I keep this, or are you submitting this, or do you want it back?
Take this one, hey, Moose.
Oh, okay, sorry, don't want to do that. I see. Pursuant to that, is this big piece of art on the end of this crane there over the weekend, or is it brought in, loaded, and then the crane leaves?
I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know is,
Because a concurrent use issue comes up here. If they're using it only on Sunday and the parking lot is empty on Sunday for commercial use and not used on Sunday for commercial use, then the commercial loading spaces are kind of a moot point for the time that they're using it.
yeah, I have something to say about shared parking, but I didn't get to it yet.
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify
Well,
because
those pieces, when they do a project like that, they're there for quite some time. They just don't. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be out from your kids and they do see them, moving part up there.
okay, that's useful information. Thank you.
So the other thing that wasn't calculated on their parking schematics is there's regulation 9.4 states, no parking areas or driveways shall be less than 10 foot from any portion of the building. So that means around every single building, there must be a 10-foot clearance, and that wasn't listed on their parking schematics. Section 9.5, paved parking. Bethany zoning regulations repeatedly require paved parking for commercial lots. You could go through the book and see it many, many times. Given the size of this parking lot and the state and local ordinance, this lot needs to be fully paved to comply with regulations, especially handicap regulation. Now, the ground coverage rule. The total ground coverage is the area of the building structures, the paved areas, and outside storage areas. Because there is an addition of paved parking, he will exceed the maximum building coverage of 75% for the BNI district. So because he's putting paved parking in there, he's going over the maximum building coverage.
Currently, with millings, it does not, because millings are semi-permeable. And so you can't 50% of that area. So he comes up at about 35% of
And so-
usable area. But if he paves it, I understand your point. But it is currently not paved.
Correct. But once he paves it, it will be. And don't forget, they're two separate lots. They're not one whole lot. We have the deeds to prove it.
Okay, keep going.
And of course, since there's no building drainage, there's no parking lot drainage either. And that violates regulation 9.1H. Another thing I don't hear anybody talking about is parking lot landscaping. Regulation 9.4. Any parking lot with 10 or more parking spaces must include landscaped islands and dividers throughout the parking lot. The regulation requires 15 square feet of landscape area for every single parking space, 1 canopy tree for 10 parking spaces. Landscaped islands or dividers have to be 10 feet wide. The 10-foot islands or dividers can be satisfied by using islands, center islands, or dividers with a width not less than 10 feet. And all of those plants in the area must be protected by barriers or other means of damage by vehicle or snowplows. And may I suggest a landscaping bond, because there have been no bonds on this property of any kind. And we all know, and it wasn't in the parking schematics, there's got to be a 12-foot clearance for emergency vehicles. Fire apparatus access roads was not listed on there. Now, by the time you look at this, I'm pushing these parking spaces inward. I'm adding 16 or more handicap spaces. I'm adding 6 handicap van spaces. You got to tell me where that 20-foot fire access is going to be. And now traffic. Somebody else was talking about traffic. Section 911E. Provision shall be made for the vehicle access in the lot in such a manner as to safeguard against hazards to traffic and pedestrian traffic on the road. The road providing access to the lot shall have the capacity to accommodate the traffic generated by the proposed use. The driveway shall be of a design and have sufficient capacity to avoid vehicles backing up and entering on the road. These are all regulations that have not been addressed. 6.4b and 9.8a requires an unobstructed sight line on Russell Road. All of us know who live on Russell Road, that road is narrow, curvy, winding. There is no sight line whatsoever. No warning to pedestrians or cars coming down that road. So any of the numerous vehicles coming down that road is going to be an accident waiting to happen. I'm almost done.
No, that's fine. Actually, traffic was one of my concerns going in. I listened to my colleagues' greater wisdom to let you guys speak before we ask more questions, but that was one of my questions. Go ahead.
So do you remember the Graduate Institute?
Yeah.
Reduced down to a 1-lane road when the school was in session. It was cars parked all along the street. Difficult to get in and out. Same thing happening here.
And that's when cars were parked in that little red schoolhouse / post office years ago. You couldn't even get in Russell Road from Amity Road at that point.
Well, I think parking on Russell Road, I do have some concerns about that as well. I will say, I think that is difficult to achieve because I think it does impact safety. But go ahead.
I'm almost done, really.
No, that's fine.
Regulation 911N. If an existing parking area is expanded or the total number of parking spaces is more than 10, then the expanded parking area shall be brought into full compliance with landscape regulations. So he wants to put 43 Russell Road, he wants to put some parking back there right against Larry Carone's property. He can't do that because there's have to be a 10-foot wide landscaping pitch in front of there because he updated all the parking to 10. Let me see.
You're talking about this space back here, these 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So wait, so shared parking. Shared parking. The Bethany zoning regulations clearly establish how parking spaces are required for each commercial use. Agree?
Well, I mean, we have specific parking.
Like, not yet. I gotta look that up. However, They do not contain any provisions authorizing shared parking. There is nothing in our zoning book that has anything about shared parking. Please look it up and correct me if I'm wrong. There is no section allowing the same parking spaces to be counted for multiple businesses. So if there is no regulation authorizing shared parking, then the regulations must be applied as written. Each business must meet its own parking requirements. And this application should be evaluated accordingly. That's why when you mentioned on a Sunday, everybody could use that parking space. But Versteeg, Nurpco, they all need to provide their own parking. They all need to be. And at the end of the day, he cannot come up with, let me see. So on 51 Russell, he needs 85 regular spaces for those 3 buildings, 85 regular spaces. He needs 8 regular handicap spaces, 2 fan accessible spaces, 3 loading docks. There's 3 buildings there. He needs 3 loading docks as per regulation. And he needs a tractor trailer space. I have pictures to show you that, yeah, they do have tractor trailers in there. 43 Russell, which is a separate property, and one of them happens to be public assembly, 18 regular spaces, 1 handicap, and 1 loading space. And here's my favorite thing. Here's my favorite. See, they don't like to tell you everything, but I'm going to tell you everything. This is John Paul Garcia's. Yeah. This is John Paul Garcia. You see this line?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the wetlands. You see this line?
Mm-hmm.
Upland review area. Everything in here has to be reviewed by inland wetlands, and it wasn't. They hid it. So everything in here. So this is getting denied no matter what.
I looked at this lot because there is wet land there, but it is not on the zoning map as wetlands. There are some wetlands 2 lots over, but not on this property.
This is John Paul Garcia's. This is by John Paul Garcia. This is his map. This is his map, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
This is his map. And this is his marking for the wetlands. This is his, not mine.
Do you have one for the town's map of the wetlands?
Yeah,
No, this is John Paul's.
right.
Okay, well, the
The
town's
town's
map, I
map
think,
of the
would
wetland.
feed any.
Yeah,
Right.
Anyway,
and there is,
Yeah, but a soil scientist came down. Mark.
And an engineer, a soil scientist and an
Yeah,
engineer.
That
I
still has to get submitted to wetlands.
town,
sorry? I hear someone.
It's
If
Adam.
if they want to change that on the inlands wetlands, it has to be submitted. Just because the soil scientist deemed it or an engineer deemed it, all that paperwork still needs to be submitted to the town to change and,
Sure.
and register that as actual wetlands.
Right, it is currently not designated as wetlands.
Correct.
Because I looked that up before we came here. Because I had that question too.
That isn't.
I'm telling you,
Because I sent the DEEP out there and they agreed with me. How could
well,
how
they
could
didn't come to us to change it. I mean, I don't know if they came to inland wetlands to change it.
Well, you could, if you went to the property, you can clearly see that
it's all wet?
But I think it's a process, procedural, legal issue that there's a discovery of wetlands, say there's a new discovery of wetlands on some property.
Right.
Officially, it sounds like it has to be accepted by Inland Wetlands Commission and designated and marked accordingly. There's
Correct.
probably a process to do that in town.
Right.
But when we went to inland wetland, when they went to inland wetlands a couple of years ago, because this building was probably 10 feet into the inland wetland review area, Christine Sullivan herself agreed that these are the wetlands and this is the wetland review area. So if she is advocating that, I don't think anybody
Yeah,
could
something's
dispute
wrong
that.
there. That's the reason why they moved the building up out of the review area.
Christine
avoid
Sullivan
going-
herself agreed to this.
I would,
Revert back to what the town has.
yeah, and I,
Still
Listed
have
and
to be submitted and made official.
someone else may have submitted. It's
Then I
what we
bet
have
the
on
town
file.
has it, if that's what Christine would
But
go
that's
by.
not the town's, that was provided through an engineer.
Right.
I think
We-
on
we-
this point, it's probably simply resolved, where it's just what map is officially inland wetlands and what did Inland Wetlands Commission approve?
Mhm.
So how does this get resolved? Because I know for a fact that I myself, an engineer,
That point, I think, needs to go to inland wetlands, not necessarily ENZ. You can.
Most of this land back here is my father's property.
Right.
And it's all wet, right in that area is all wet. And it comes over their property, but
I'm
it's clearly
just,
wet.
we're planning and zoning, so
Right.
we.
We don't have the jurisdiction.
Right.
I think this should be denied just based upon the fact.
Regardless of that, all the other regulations that should apply to this shouldn't be overlooked.
Right. Well, I mean, wetland is not necessarily designated as wetlands. I mean, if it's seasonally wet, there's a lot of different things that go into that. I am not on the Inland Wetlands Commission, so I'm not going to speak to what exactly qualifies you to get a wetlands designation, but not all wetland is designated a wetland.
And also, for the information that has been presented to this commission thus far, it's our responsibility to check the veracity of what we're saying, and if necessary, go to inland wetlands,
And
follow up, and make sure that we're making the best decision. We're not inland wetlands, but we can rely upon them to deal with this question. Right now, we're taking information from the public to help us make our decision.
Right.
And an important thing will be to check with wetlands, to check with QVHD, some of the allegations that you've made, to make sure that we have all the correct information to make our decision.
Right.
That's our responsibility.
And
You're presenting your side of the story, and we have, as a commission, it's our responsibility with staff to check out, make sure that we're making the correct decision as it comes forward.
Right. So you've raised a number of points.
Right.
And now what we need to do is gather data on that and look at that. But I will say that, I mean, John Paul drew a line, that's fine. But when I looked on the GIS overlay map for this region, there is not a wetland designated on that property. Now, that may be, I mean, maybe we'll go to inland wetlands and they'll say, oh no, that should be. Or maybe they'll say it is, but it's not on that map. I'm just telling you what I found. It doesn't mean we're not going to look into it. You've raised the question, we'll look into it.
So can I ask Curtis,
Sure.
what was the purpose? We had a soil scientist and an engineer that the town hired to go through this property and get correct numbers and just verify everything.
Right.
What was their purpose and where are their reports?
So that was before this building was originally approved, I'm assuming, since it's not been here since I've been on the board.
Okay.
Kurt, are you aware of this?
The building went through the inland wetland. I was situated as to meet all the regulations. Period. Soil scientist went here, it's out of the upland review. The map shows.
Okay.
That's why it was approved, because it was.
Building is where it is. Foundation is where it is. That point is moved. It's been reviewed by the Inland Wetlands Commission. Building permit was issued. The building is so situated, that place where this is out of your jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
But now they want to put parking on that. So shouldn't the applicant have to go to inland wetlands to get the parking authorized? You're gonna look into it and tell me.
Yes, we're gonna look into it and tell you.
Wait, no, let me see if I have anything else. Do you want to see my pictures of the tractor trailers?
No, I don't
No.
need that. It is an industrial area. I'm sure there have been heavy equipment going in and out.
All right, then I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Kim, you had wanted to speak, and I said I was going to let them speak first, and now it's your turn.
If I can see over this. I'm Kim Brinton. I live at 168 Brinton. I live at 168 Sperry Road. I am a deacon of Stillwater's Community Church for Sacraments. A couple of things that I wanted to point out. House of worship can be approved whether this is a commercial site or whether this is residential property. If it meets the requirements of the regulations for the town of Bethany. This application has been approved by the fire marshal and QVHD for this use. You have that in the file. I want to address some of the things about the parking and the landscaping regs that the previous people noted. I'm guessing that's state regulations and not Bethany's parking regulations because I own a commercial property at 116 Old Amity Road. I have over 20 spots for my veterinary practice, and I have no islands. There were no specific designations for landscaping for that site. I disagreed on the paved parking, that it has to be paved. I had millings for years, which is a pervious surface. The issue with the Sunday school, I think, is a misnomer. I know that the regulations are different for school. We're not looking to have a school here. By Sunday school, what we mean is children's worship classes. So it's a lesson, maybe a craft in a separate room. It's not a true school in the sense of a school, which I know is addressed differently from the regulations. I wanted to just remind the commission that it's based on whether we meet the regulations or not as a church, not whether people are opposed to this being a church. And again, a church can be an approved use whether this was a residential or commercial site. The church is open to having conditions of approval. If you want to look at this and say, okay, we want to limit this to 150 people, and then we look at is our zoning enforcement officer. He will enforce conditions of approval. If we're over 150 people, then Kurt's going to come to us and say, we need to reassess this. If we get to the point, praise God, where we've got more than 150 people, then we're going to be looking to own a building. The fact with traffic conditions being bad on Russell Road, my business is on Old Amity Road. I could sit at my desk and listen to the cars run up and down Old Amity because of the buildings that are the storage buildings, et cetera, that are operating car repair, et cetera, down the south end of my road. So traffic conditions are bad all over town. We're on Sperry, and Sperry is very busy. I don't think that's limited to Russell Road. I think those were the main things that I wanted to just clarify from the previous notes.
So can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
Do you anticipate anyone parking on Russell Road or along
No.
Russell Road?
Absolutely not.
Because I'm concerned about that
Right.
for safety reasons. I was down there just today, and
I think no.
I think that road would not handle
No.
safely anyone parking along
Nope.
it. Okay. And other questions?
I as I said, I live on Sperry. I back up to Sperry View. There are weekends where, sorry, very dry. where Scary View has horse shows. And there's a larger number of cars than there are during the week. They're adequately parked. I think that you have to look at the regulations themselves and not,
Don't worry, we
Bethany's
will.
regulations.
Well-
And in full disclaimer, I'm former zoning chair, member of planning and zoning. Thank you.
Mhm. Other comments? Oh, wait, sorry, him first. He hasn't spoken. We'll get to you.
John Grabowski, 182 Russell Road. My concerns originally, I didn't even know it was going in, other than I thought that was just going to be, storage containers. But I am concerned with the increased traffic. Russell Road is a big cut through Bethany, and ever since it's been paved, it's like a highway. I've gotten hit almost numerous times just coming out of my driveway. And I am concerned with the sight lines coming out of there right around the corner. And if there is any extra or wherever they're going to do with the parking, even in bad weather, where they're going to push the snow, how many parking spots they lose. I would not like to see any cars parked on Russell Road. It's even difficult when our residents on my street do that. I was happy to hear the commission say that they're going to do some research brought up by some people here did a lot more research than I did. I had very last minute notice, but I hopefully will get some answers to see that all the policies and procedures were followed to a T, and then following up with other questions or concerns that they had doing their research. So if you do need to table this, I would not like to see a rushed vote on that.
Well, we have certain time limits imposed by law, but we can continue this. We wouldn't table it. We would continue this hearing and have.
Oh, yeah, that if that need be, that's what I would recommend from the commission. So, but that's it. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? We have another comment here. And then you had a comment. Actually, I called on her first. I will call on you next.
Sorry.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Raji, and this is my husband, Vijay.
Spell your name, please.
Raji, and our last name is Kompalli. And this is Vijay like DJ. He's not here to play music. He's bad at it. We live on 58 Russell Road, right across from this proposed property. We've been in that house for 14 years now, a little over 14 years. I have no objection to places of worship or businesses. I was sitting right here in June when the proposal to construct a storage facility was talked about. I have to reconcile in my head. Honestly, until we got this letter, we didn't even know that that proposal changed to a place of worship. So if I didn't see it, I wouldn't know. So in my head, I have to reconcile how quickly the plans have changed. But outside of that, extremely concerned about the increase in traffic. There is a slope going into this parking lot. There is always a struggle on icy, snowy days, trucks going in and out, and we see it. I worry because I can see it right from the kitchen, and I'm waiting for the day when the truck rolls right into our front yard. So my concern are primarily around the number of people that would be driving in and out. And speaking about Sunday school, again, I'm here, I'm not nearly as informed as some of the others who've done the research, but I can assure you that my kids have been to Sunday school. They're both in their teens now, and I know exactly what a Sunday school means. Yes, it's arts, it's lessons, it's learning, but there is going to be regular in and out activity, maybe around Sundays, but it's just increased activity, not just restricted to the type of worship. So we are here just to make sure our concerns are heard. Again, thank you for sending us the letter. Otherwise, we wouldn't know about it. Normally, we are peace loving. And I just want to let you know that we have a beautiful south facing house. And this building definitely restricts the sunlight into our house. Again, it is what it is. People are allowed to do what they want to do. Not really objecting to any of that, but concerned definitely about the increase of movement. And
parking, road being so narrow.
yeah, all of those, right? All valid concerns.
Parking and road being narrow, is that what you
Very,
said?
very narrow.
Just want to
Even
make sure
today.
everyone heard it.
Even today, when my kids have to walk out of the street, go on the street, they get the bus, they get down from the bus on Amity Road, walk to my house. We are still concerned, even though they are teenagers. That's how narrow and winding the road is. You guys can come check the road. And I work from home, so I see every day. In the middle of the afternoon, car came in, crashed right into their property. There is one tree left. You can see the scars on the tree. In the middle of the afternoon, car came in, crashed into it, and they fell into our drive. So it's all winding roads. There is no walkways, and the road becomes even narrower when it snows and they push the snow out to the road. Those are our concerns. Not the religion, not the prayer, not worship, not kids, anything. But yeah, kids, you have to worry about, right? If they were going to walk on the streets, yes, you have to worry about. All of us have to.
Okay.
And lastly, I'm requesting this commission to truly, just for context, I work for Lady Creek. I've been with the company for 18 and a half years, and I've just built a new lab in Texas. And I know what constructing from a plan, from approvals, it was an arduous process. So for me, like I said, I am unable to reconcile in my head how quickly the plan changed, because it definitely took a lot of effort, even for us to put a window. So just requesting that these plans seem to have changed too quickly in the short span of time, and that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Now, you wanted to speak, and then I know I'll get you. Okay, quick question.
You have to get up to the podium.
I'm just going to give her one quick question.
We've been alluding to fire marshal report up until I checked before we came here. That's not submitted online in the application. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what I said earlier.
In a minute, I'm going to give him a chance to speak for the first time.
I'm Bill Grieger.
Wait till you get up there. All right.
I'm
Now,
Bill Grieger, 185 Fairwood Road.
Evan Krieger.
spell your name, please.
Chief,
IEGER.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify a few things. There's an $80,000 drainage system. Please show them the pictures.
Yeah, we put it in. We have all the pictures of it and and everything.
So I'm tired of the accusations that we have not been following the plan.
I see.
It's as-built, show the chairman.
So do me a
That's
favor.
picture of it, and it's all as built. The John Paul picked everything else.
All right.
Saying that we didn't do according to the plan.
Send pictures to Kurt, and he can enter them into the record for us.
The other thing is, we had an 8-inch rain the other day. You know the way they put complaints to the town every day. If there was one piece of dirt on the driveway out of place, drive by there. We went the extra mile to do it properly, but there's no issues. And then another thing, the accusation about the letter from Quinnipiac, if she knew what she was talking about, Brian from the town of Orange, Quinnipiac is short. They lost 5 inspectors. So he works for them after hours and weekends. So they asked him, they send him stuff. He's a licensed sanitarian.
That's what he says on the letter.
Right. So they sent all that to him to review, do the numbers, and he was hired by them to do that. So that's legit. I don't like all these things saying that we haven't been following the rules, the other thing. The other thing on her comment, I'm a man of my word. I went over and asked her, told her I'm doing the building. I could have put a building up there for $100,000 cheaper. I told you, I'm going to put double hand siding, architectural shingles. I did exactly what I said. It's not landscape yet. The landscape plan, I told you. I said, I gave you my word. We're going to put when the weather breaks, high, nice, the green giants. We're not done. It's not the right time of year. But I'm a man of word. I could put $100,000 cheaper on that building, got the same square foot. But you look at our building, Texas State.
Can you direct your comment to me?
Look at our building, Texas State Police Park. Look how nice they're maintained. We put fences up, landscaping. I take care of our properties, and I honor what I say. And then we did that, and we actually did special insulation. The church confronted us after, and I thought it was a good idea. It's your guys, if that can go out or not. It's nothing to do with me on it. But I went the extra mile to keep that building quiet if somebody went in there. And the other comment about loading
Can you
dock,
elaborate on that again?
the wood construction was a lot more. We did 2x8 construction. The insulation is packed that thick in it. So they're not going to hear a peep coming out of that building. And I told them, I'm in bed at 7 o'clock. And when I met her, I said, listen, if you hear a noise out of place, somebody doing something stupid, call us or call the police. She said she bought the property. It was there when she bought it, had no issues with her husband's friends and one of the older gentlemen up there.
Okay.
Just like I said, I just don't like being accused.
Not get personal in the comments.
Yeah,
Let's just
I'm
keep
sorry.
it. Okay.
But I just wanted you to see the drainage, all that was put in. I mean, there's a new building going up in Andy Road. You're not putting any drainage. I mean, that was a lot of money, that drainage. There's not one bit of water that goes towards the wetlands. The other thing is, if you do the research on it, we all pay a lot of taxes in town. He put in so many complaints to the town. The town had to reflag the wetlands recently. Okay, it's exactly, the wetlands, no wetlands on our property, as you stated. There isn't. And then they had the town engineer went out there with Kurt, verified, buildings in the right place, wetlands weren't filled. I'm just tired of this. Can you shut this down? You know how many, this is aggravating to us.
Our job is to hear the
Other
sift
buildings,
it through,
same,
come to a decision,
same
not to
thing.
take sides.
Yeah, but that's all, just the amount of money, effort going to the zoning officer, the town attorney, the town planner is crazy.
Address the issue at hand.
But I just want to do, the drainage is put in exactly the plan. It was inspected by John Paul, and 8 inches of rain proves it's working exactly to what all the engineering was designed for that. And it's landscape. We're not done with the final landscaping to the plan once the weather cools off. And it will be like other buildings. We keep them up nice, we maintain them, they're not a mess. I just wanted you to see the pictures, and I'm just tired of saying that things were not done, which was done. Those pictures that she showed you, some of those pictures not even on that building.
Okay.
There isn't. Look at them.
Can I ask you?
Before, let's not trade recrimination.
No, I'm just saying
please.
that's saying like these big cranes and this and that. That's not even there. That's not even, those pictures weren't taken from most of those aren't even that facility.
Okay. And just for my clarification, because I did not get a chance to pull the business from last year, is that landscaping that you're talking about on that approved plan from last year? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like we wrapped up that whole thing with bark mulch on it. We made that site a magnet right off before the building was built.
Okay.
But the planting and so forth, I want the carpenter out of there, put the plantings in, have the water to the building so we can maintain the shrubbery and so forth. Don't have any problems. And my track record, look at all our buildings, how we maintain them. And it will be exactly what I told them. I want to put them up. You're not going to see it. I spent a lot of money, as I promised you, then I have a big ugly metal building.
Again,
I wouldn't want
comments addressed to the commission, not to the audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, what happened to the original tenant that was intended to be there?
They got shell shock because they were threatened to sue. And I can't blame the lady. They didn't want to get involved, afraid they're going to get tied up in a lawsuit.
The interior of the building, how much has been done to modify the interior to meet the needs of the congregation?
It's staying exactly what was approved. They're taking it as the building was approved.
There's a hand-drawn sketch.
And that's what exists now. And
Yeah, so more than welcome to take a look. It's all the walls and all.
I'm assuming you're not doing, these are just where the seating's going to be?
That would be a question to the.
Right,
to
but
them.
you're not building that in.
No, that's.
Well, I think to your point, pews are non-permanent there.
Right,
That wouldn't
right,
be-
yes.
Yeah.
This is, I assume, a podium, a dais, a tabernacle of some kind, a raised platform. Again, this is not your construction.
Right, ours it's open, what was approved, what the building official's been through, because basically the building's 90% done.
Right, because I mean, I looked at this plan and I'm like, that looks like a 3-bay workshop building with 3 separate bathrooms in the back for each bay.
Right, that's
And I
what we
assume,
approved.
so this part was built for you.
We built it as the
I'm
procedure.
just trying to clarify what's there. When you say it's according to plan,
Right, they were gonna add that in, like put, I don't know, like temporary pews, lay on the concrete floors poured. We really need to address that with them, but the building was built for storage buildings. Prestige got very nervous she didn't want to get tied up in a lawsuit. I can't blame the lady.
okay. I just wanted to clarify what I'm seeing. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
But just ask them about the interior fit out. But I just wanted to let you know, the drainage was put in, the site was put into the storage. If this does not get approved, someone will come in front of you for storage, okay, for someone to run a business out of there.
I understand that. Okay.
On that.
I mean, I assume your intent was to fill the space when you built it.
Right, they wanted it, they were all for it. They got harassed so much, I can't blame them.
Okay,
I
thank you.
cannot blame them.
All right, I saw two hands go up, yours and then someone back here. Yes, okay.
Chairman Sam Tobble here, Stillwater's Church. I just wanted to provide the letter from Fire Marshal Sousa. That's directed to Bill Cushing, who's one of our deacons at the church, but that's the letter in question. And to clarify, the plot plan, the floor plan there, that is not yet in existence. That will be what the church would do after moving into the space.
I mean, you're not building out the bathrooms.
No, we are not. The bathrooms will be built out. The only thing that we will be doing is taking down one of the dividing walls that would have divided 3 bays. Instead, we will only leave one up, so it'll be a double and a single, which those walls are not retaining.
Right.
Yeah.
Was this submitted to the town?
They have every right to.
Okay, I just want to know. Yeah.
We've had it.
June 24th?
You upload it?
I thought I did. I apologize if I did not. I
You
would
need
be.
to upload everything to the public.
Right, you're pending.
I thought I did.
All right, just grabbed it.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about hours of operation?
Certainly. So
may I keep this?
You may. Primarily, the main hours of operation will be on Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to between 11:30 and 12 p.m., depending on the Sunday. It will never be earlier. It's possible that we may be there until 1 p.m. on some Sundays. During the week, there will be very little traffic in the building. All of our offices are located off-site, so our normal meetings and business happens off-site.
Do you plan to transfer them there for
we do not.
efficiency?
No, we don't. We plan to keep our offices are just a quarter mile down the road. During the week, if there was going to be anything during the week, it would be small gatherings, like a youth gathering inside the building, where there would be some activities and some study of the Bible. Other than that, and of course, acknowledging special services on holidays and such, when those come up, there will be very little activity during.
So will there be people concerned about traffic on Sunday? Most people will come at 7 and then leave when things are done, or will it be a continuous?
No, it won't. 7 a.m. will be a very small group of volunteers. Myself as the pastor, maximum 10 people getting there to prepare for the service, which will be at 10 a.m. So then 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. roughly is our service time, and the bulk of the people will be coming in just before 10 a.m. between 9:30 and 10, and then leaving after the service is over, unless we have a meeting or something briefly after church.
Do you anticipate any evening activities? I think you said there was one or.
During the week, it's possible that there is a midweek evening activity, but again, very low traffic.
Okay. Are you going to be adding any additional lighting to the building for any type of evening services or activities?
You mean exterior or interior?
Exterior.
We have no plans to. The church has no plans to. I would defer to the breeders to speak to what is going to be installed.
That was with your original plan. You had lighting submitted.
It's basically just a small little wall mount over the door, which will cut off.
So there's no lights on the building?
No, just
And no lights on the parking lot?
a light.
And when you say the doors, you're talking about the overhead doors. Pardon?
On the entry door.
On the entry door.
Man door.
Yeah, the human doors, not the truck doors.
Man.
Okay. All right,
You could say man.
man door. Well, I don't want to be pejorative in any, exclusive in any way. All right.
L door.
Hang on one second. There's a woman here who had also wanted to speak. If you're done, I would like to have her speak first because she had her hand up first.
Fisher Ryan, 83 Russell Road. I just wanted to indicate that we do have people, children in the neighborhood. We have people that walk, since now that we have 101, that's that land trust with the trail, people walking to that, using bicycles. So I just want to indicate, because the sight line is so bad on Russell Road, I'm against this. And another thing is, who actually owns the building? Is it the church just leasing it?
That's correct.
Okay, so since it's leasing, does it change the tax base of that building? Does it become now tax exempt, the property? Yes, so.
I don't, I'm sorry, I don't believe so.
No,
I don't believe so.
even though it is a religious facility,
We don't own it.
but usually they don't pay taxes.
Well, the church won't pay taxes on its assets.
Finance,
Yeah,
a quick thought finance
yeah, I'm
and
not a
ask them
tax
about that,
accountant,
because
so I don't know how that works, but I did
Yeah.
have that question myself.
Yeah.
But
So,
again, I'm
okay.
not sure that would change our decision in the
No, I
sense that,
understand
I mean, we
but
do
then I
have to
just
be
want to make it
conscious of that as
exactly.
custodians for the town.
I
But
understand.
our job is to follow the
Mhm.
zoning regulations, and the tax regulations will follow
Yeah,
themselves, will be
I
followed by
I'll
other people.
Contact finance on that. Okay.
So-
Thank you so much.
You haven't spoken yet, so I'll let you speak and then,
Sam Malangone, 156 Russell Road. Spell your name, please. Malangone. Okay. The pastor saying low traffic, no parking on the street. You know, all this, I can just see like a nightmare coming off of 63. Everybody's trying to pull in, people coming the other side. It's going to be a nightmare. It's too close to 63. It's not the right spot for it. And who's going to guarantee that it's going to be low? You know, not that many people going in and out. There's no parking in the street. Who's going to guarantee that? That's all I want to say.
no, you had.
So we do have a director of facilities too, who can organize parking attendants. And I think we're overblowing the parking situation. I count cars when I come on Sundays, and right now we have like 20 cars. The 79 parking spaces is going to be if we grow exponentially. We're not there. You know, and again, I think if we can think about conditions of approval, you know, we're open to discussing that if that's something that the commission will entertain.
I appreciate that.
You know, with parking attendants, if you want to see what our parking situation is like on a Sunday here, come Sunday, there's 20 cars maybe at this point, and that's with 50, 60 people, you know, families that
But
have
to be
4
fair,
kids.
you do plan and hope to grow.
We're hoping to grow, but if we,
Increase traffic.
it's an increase in
Again,
traffic.
comments directed to the commission, please, not to other people.
But if we grow that quickly, we're going to be looking for a place to own. We're just trying to get started in town.
I understand that. I have to respond to everyone.
Yep, I get that.
Okay.
Getting the shoes. Thank you.
Other comments? Yes.
Nicole Landucci, LANDUCCI. I live at 33 Falls Road. I just want to ask a question about the timing. I know that the Sunday was answered, but during the week was kind of the timing of it was kind of danced around and not presented tangibly. So we were just told evening. So I just wanted to know what the timing would be during the week.
So my impression from what he said, and I'm going to give him a chance to answer you in just a second, is that it would be occasional midweek days. I believe he mentioned Wednesday as the predominant day, but it could vary, primarily during the evening hours. Now, is that a misrepresentation of what you said?
It's not, but I want to be candid and say that as of now, we have nothing in place for them. There's nothing that happens in the midweek other than every other Tuesday we have a men's Bible study that we hold at our office, which we will continue to hold at the office, not at this proposed location. So I can't give you an exact answer because we have nothing in place currently. I just want it to be transparent and not give the false expectation that there will be nothing happening during week hearing.
And the numbers involved are far less than on a Sunday.
Far less than the morning.
But is evening 5 o'clock? Is evening 9 o'clock?
Is evening 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock
Or any other time?
Or both?
or any other time?
So I can say the men's Bible study that meets every other Tuesday at our offices meets at 7 p.m. and goes till about 8:30 p.m. So that's an average start time between 6:30 and 7 p.m.
So potentially till 9 p.m. with everyone leaving by 9 p.m.
I mean, I guess it sounds like, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, concerns, questions? Yes, sir. Again, identify yourself.
Yep, Matthew Vernick, 61 Russell Road, spell my last name Bernik. So representatives of the church have said, oh, it's going to be low traffic and for now, and we expect to grow. Is the commission taking into account if they do grow? Because it sounds like from the way everybody's talking is they do plan to grow and they do want to grow. Is that going to be taken into account in considering future traffic on the road? Now 50, 60 people, maybe you think that that's acceptable. I don't agree with that, but maybe the commission does. But if it's going from 50, 60 and they're expecting to grow, is that going to be considered in the future?
All of these things are going to be considered. I mean, all this evidence that's been presented, all the concerns, we're going to consider those.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
I
that
just
that
want to assure you
was,
that,
yeah.
Our
I just
goal is
wanted
to
make sure
come
that
up
concern
with
was presented.
the best decision for the town and try to satisfy as many people as we can. But we have to play by the rules and we have to take all these things into consideration.
Absolutely.
That's what this hearing is for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Bill Cushing, Cushing, name and address. 73 Birchwood Drive, Hamden, Connecticut. Thank you for listening to us. I'll make a couple of comments and talk a little bit about our history. We started worshiping in August of last year. We leased 1,250 square feet at 41 Village Lane and the upper floor. We have 3 paid staff, and that is their offices, if you will. We have a large conference room. We can accommodate 30 people, and we have often accommodate 30 people in the office space. I can assure you that we will not ever allow parking on Russell Road. We also would say that we have been looking for a place to worship. We have leased space from the town hall, the old firehouse at the end, and Bethany Kennels, as well as our office space up to date. We've looked at over 10 buildings in Bethany over the last 10 months. And for septic issues or parking issues or the cost of renovation, we were not able to move forward with those other sites. This building, as I think you've learned, we're taking 2 of the 3 sections for worship. And then we have that 3rd section, if you will, for Christian education on Sunday mornings. Currently, with our attendance being in the 50 range, 60 range, we are seeing 20 cars on an average Sunday morning. So I just wanted to kind of give you that history and clarify some of the comments. Thank you.
What's been the growth rate?
I'm sorry?
What's been your growth rate over those 8 months?
In the last 10 months, we've probably gone from 35. I'm sorry? In the last 10 months since we started worshiping, we probably have grown from 30 to 35 to 50 to 55.
In 10 months?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Well, I think we've got a lot to go over and to think about, and I think we need to have more discussion on this, but I would like to do some background work beforehand. So I would entertain, or I would ask for a motion to continue this hearing to the next meeting.
Before you do that, could I just ask when the next meeting is scheduled?
August 5th, I believe, yeah. Yeah. So yes, the meeting on August 5th, if you want the explicit date given. I sense from y'all that.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to hear as much from the public as possible to help us with that decision, as I think would help me at least.
Right, and I think as we come up with things, there may be more questions we have, and so I think another public hearing or continued public hearings is really the most appropriate venue for going forward on this. And so, can I have a motion to do that?
Okay, I move we continue this public hearing to the August 5th meeting.
And is there a second?
I second.
Okay. And actually, we are within our rights to do that. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay? No? All right, so it's unanimous. So we will reconvene this hearing on the 5th of August. That meeting will start at 7. Probably, I can't guarantee where this will be on the agenda, but it'll probably be at the beginning somewhere because obviously there's a lot of interest and we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to be heard and that all the issues get ironed out. Okay? So thank you all.
And also, any documents that are presented will be uploaded so
Yes.
that if there's anything missing at this point, it can be addressed.
And if you would like to submit something for consideration at that hearing, a document, I would say that while you have the right to bring it that night, you will serve your cause better by submitting it ahead of time and letting us all look at it, including members of the public, because everything gets uploaded to the website.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, fire marshal. Okay, my apologies. But you will upload that at the.
Oh, well, our people will.
Thank you. Those people.
All right, yeah, you can do it. All right. Well, I have it submitted, so it can be put up as a exhibit from this meeting. But I do encourage you that if you have documentation, including just photos or that statement, that written statement was excellent because now that can be read by everyone, and that's very helpful as a guide. So it helps us if you get that in a little bit beforehand so we can all review it and come better educated, okay? So we will now move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the
Good night, everybody. Nothing.
which is the moratorium language. Yeah, I anticipated a large rush.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you all for coming. And I mean, this is what town government should be about. Everybody comes, you give your piece, and then we work out an answer. All right, so I wanted to just yes, this is it. Okay, so this is the last item on the agenda. Because this is a special meeting, there will not be additional items entertained. This is the regulation on a moratorium on warehouses in the town. This has, as you know, this started with a moratorium that was passed in June of 2024, and that was renewed again in July of 2025. But the wording was fairly broad, and we felt it would be best to get the intent of what we wanted by revisiting it before we renewed it again. And so that language has been discussed in 2 separate meetings so far, and it has now gone also through legal review. And so the language we have, which I will read in its entirety, is that is what we're going to be voting on tonight, because this has been discussed in public hearings and meetings for at least twice. The intent of this regulation is to delete the existing moratorium language and add the proposed zoning regulation amendment, which I will now read. Add the following language: the purpose of the moratorium on warehouse facilities is to allow time to develop a proper plan and regulations to conserve business and industrial property for proper business development. Section 1.7, the Town of Bethany Planning and Zoning Commission hereby establishes a moratorium on any application and permitting for new warehouse and storage buildings as defined in these regulations, including any proposed additions thereto, for a period of 1 year from the date of passage of this moratorium. And the following definition and conditions will be inserted into the zoning regulations as well. The definition of warehouse: private warehouse, a building which may be comprised of one or more units designed or dedicated to be used as a garage, storage, or workplace facility for a business, typically, although not exclusively, not located on the same property. The storage/work units are typically not owned by the tenants who use the storage and workplace facility, but are rented or leased. Typically, though not exclusively, the units are used for the storage of equipment, tools, or vehicles which are used on another work site. C, also typically, the warehouse is not located on the same property as the residence of the business owner. D, also typically, the warehouse is not the location where goods and services are sold to customers or the public. 2, requirements or conditions. A, no storage of hazardous materials is permitted in any approved warehouse except as follows. Any hazardous material use or storage should be handled by the appropriate department, including QVHD, Fire Marshal, DPW, or other as appropriate. B, the property where the warehouse is located must meet all zoning bulk requirements such as setback, height, lot coverage, etc. And C, all wetlands requirements are to be met prior to any zoning action on a site plan. 3, visibility from public highway. Any proposed warehouse facility should be adequately screened from the public highway with evergreen vegetation or an approved solid fence. B, any large equipment shall not be stored outside of the warehouse facilities so as to be visible from abutting residentially zoned or used properties. Any outside equipment storage shall be conducted only as approved by the commission and shown on the approved site plan. And that is the moratorium as proposed.
I do have a comment, and I
Okay.
don't know how I missed this, or a question. The clause including any proposed additions thereto, and I'm not a lawyer, as we've stated before, and I think it's come up a number of times, the intent prior was to control or stop new development on land that did not have one of these type of storage facilities before. When I read this now, and I may be interpreting it wrong, like that I'm not a lawyer, but the clause including any proposed additions thereto, does that mean proposed additions thereto the regulations, or proposed additions meaning to that property? Because if that clause is there and it pertains to a warehouse or storage building, that would be a tighter restriction than what we're operating to now. And I don't know if I'd be in favor of that, because it could be restrictive to our businesses right now, more so than I would be comfortable with. And it's a little confusing in the sense that permitting for new warehouses, but then this clause comes in, including any proposed additions thereto. So is it new or is it existing with a mod?
Intent there was to prohibit additions to existing warehouse. So existing.
So it'd be tighter. This is tighter than what's in play right now.
That's correct. That was a question that we had before, and that's the way it's been.
Mm-hmm. So basically what this would create is for any business owner right now who has one of these types of properties, they would not be allowed to modify it.
not the 1 year.
Mhm.
Will not be allowed to add to it.
Nor would they be allowed to add another building on their
Correct.
property.
Right.
Yeah, which again, I'm pointing out is tighter. Um,
I don't feel like that was our intention.
It wasn't my intention.
Wasn't mine
Like I
either.
said, I wanted to try to strike a balance between what seemed to be a proliferation of these new buildings going up in town, taking land that could have been used for other purposes, but not be too restrictive to business owners who are in business that, they have an approved business to do this. They purchased the building, the land, et cetera. And you would think that they would be operating with the mindset that they can continue doing so.
Right, that would inhibit
Agreed.
expansion or business.
They could continue doing what they currently.
Not if they want to expand and put some
No, no.
addition or put a different building on their property.
Different building, different warehouse.
Well, I mean, a warehouse to house more. I mean, if they're, which we hope our businesses are thriving, you want them to be able to not be stymied by restrictions on their own property, on their own business.
Like if I hypothetically bought 12 acres in town on Route 63 10 years ago and applied to say I'm going to put in storage buildings and it was approved, and I've used up, say, an eighth of that land. This, and I've maybe business plans, whatever, this would throttle me back immediately, at least for the year or however long we continue to keep this in effect. So to me, this seems perhaps more burdensome than I would be comfortable with to existing business owners with the clause.
My understanding.
agree.
And you do what you want, but my understanding initially was that the commission would not want those kind of structures to proliferate in our existing G9 zone, because the space is limited. The idea was to use that here, come up with a plan to provide alternatives. Hopefully, we would use that property, G9 property, for more, I don't want to say user friendly, but perhaps a different use than currently a warehouse, just a warehouse.
Well, that's true, but it would be for new construction or virgin land, not for somebody who's in existence already. I think that's my sticking point.
Well, that's up to you.
Mine as well.
The intent was there was a lot of discussion about it. My understanding was that the commission and then currently multiplying area they currently operate. That's
So you read it as the area that is just multiplying warehouses, and they're looking at it, I believe, as as locking out lots, right? So if a lot already has, if I understand you, if a lot already has a structure like this, and you wanted to add another one or add on to it, you wouldn't want to, because that lot is already constrained to that purpose. You would not see that as a change.
Or for that matter, if you had a garage or a business of, let's say, auto parts or something, and you wanted to make a warehouse next to your existing one to store your parts.
On that same property.
Right.
But I think this is written so that is not affected. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is tailored really to like a rental leasing agreement, where I think your example is, I'm a business and I'm doing so well, I'm going to put a warehouse on my property to store all my stuff.
Right.
I don't think that would be prohibited by this, because this speaks to rental.
Okay. Well, then I'm okay with that.
But
see, that was the thing, is that, again, this speaks to rental, and that my recollection of the tenor of our previous discussion is closer to what Hiram said, which is that we want to, I mean, if you're operating a business on that lot, you have a storage space, you need to expand it, you're not renting that out, you're using it for the business that's currently located there.
Right. So that would be allowed.
That would be allowed. As
So
I
then
read
I'm
this.
okay with it.
And that was what I thought we wanted to allow. What we didn't want was to have, oh, I've built I'm doing well with this rental space here. And I've got 3 businesses in it. I'm going to build another one and put another 3 businesses in and rent it to them.
See, that's where I wouldn't have I thought that was more burdensome to the owner who, again, I go back to my example, I bought 12 acres. I said, listen, I am, I'm going to use the land for storage buildings. I imagine, maybe I get a site plan at least approved for 1 and, 11 acres are just woodland still. Obviously I'd have to come back to the commission if I want to build another building and with a site plan. But this, I couldn't do so. I couldn't even put it in front of the commission. So, like I said, I thought that was a bit burdensome to, and truthfully, I'm not quite even sure if there are cases where we have folks who would be grandfathered in, they own this type of rental storage business, and they have sufficient room to build another unit or expand significantly. To the point.
Like you don't know if that exists or not.
Number of places like that.
Yeah. Well, if I might also just for 1 second is before anyway, there was, I remember, some concern voiced about just the proliferation of these sort of characterless buildings as well, and that was an issue for the town. And I think that's part of what was driving this too, if I'm not mistaken.
The other thing is that it doesn't really say somebody couldn't build a building with 3 or 4 businesses in it. Mm-hmm. It's the warehouse issue that was questioned, the proliferation of those rather than building like a number of small businesses.
Right. So if I put up a structure very similar to the warehouse, but I had a garage, a bakery, and I don't know, a candlestick maker, that would be fine. Yeah.
And the way this is written as well, it's not going to stop somebody who comes in with a business and says, I'm just going to build, I'm going to get one of those metal corrugated building kits, right? Because this is not like a full aesthetic prohibition across the board. So we are still allowing that. So somebody could come in, I could come in with my coffee shop and just say, I want a real industrial aesthetic, and I'm going to buy one of those kits and it's going to go up there, assuming it's approved. But I'm just pointing out that this will not stop a corrugated metal building going up.
There was a lot of discussion after CFC, there was a lot of discussion about corrugated. So I would leave that up to you and get an application. Yeah. No question.
Right. All right.
This is a public hearing, so is there anybody in the public that would like to speak?
Can I called on him first? So.
Sorry. Bill and Wendy Grieger.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously.
Your name again, I'm sorry.
Grieger.
It's a transcript, so
okay.
Yeah.
It was to our understanding when this moratorium went into effect that if you currently had a storage building, that you would be allowed an addition if it met all the regulations, that needed to make. Now, this is sounding like you're going to change that. I mean, that to me is stifling somebody's business. It's not a new building going in on a raw lot that, say the building that we bought behind the gas station, the land. We're not going to put a building there and it's going to be a storage building. That's not what we asked for. And we know that that's not allowed. But it was our impression that when this moratorium came out, just an example. We own Sergeant Drive, 63 Sergeant Drive. We got approved for a larger building, but then we put up. We could add an addition to it, but now you're telling me that I can't?
Well, it depends on what you're adding it for is what we're telling you, but.
It would be the same use as it is right now, which was a storage building. But we were allowed to add another bay onto that building. because it was approved for a larger building, but we did not put it up. So now you're going to turn around, you're going to tell us that we can't do that. I thought this type of activity was grandfathered in already, that this was not going to be not allowed.
So that's actually perfect public comment for this hearing. And that is actually why we wanted to address the wording of it, because the way it was worded before was so broad and so vague that that was very much likely that it was all warehousing of any kind. So thank you for your input, because we will take that into consideration.
Okay. Because I mean, honestly, I don't know if that's even against the law to do that. Like
well, we have the right
to that I can't do something that I was allowed to do. Now you're going to take away my allowance on it. I'm not quite sure that you're able to do that. And I mean, in all honesty, I don't know if just because we're having a public hearing on this, if the public is, I mean, you might hear our input, but I think you guys already wrote your details, or pretty much your details. You might, you know, change them a little bit, but they've already are really done. So we don't really have any say.
That's not true.
That's how we feel.
You just gave it.
That's how we feel. Okay, so I mean, I'm going to see if
it's not been voted on yet.
Our comment is going to do anything, because that's not how we understood it when council was in, when old council was in. We had a conversation about this, about the language.
Right.
And yes, it does.
The wording of the previous language did not get what you wanted.
That was one of the things that we adamantly talked to him about, sat down, and he told us, am I correct? Right. That if you already had a storage building, that you were grandfathered in to add an addition or something like that. You couldn't just go buy a piece of land and put a new storage building. That was the moratorium.
I wish he'd written it that way, but yes, okay, thank you.
But
No,
this
that's
is back to what I was just saying,
know.
that I agree that that was the way it should be.
That's what Nancy
Yeah,
brought up
right.
too. That was her initial.
Yeah, and I would just even, and again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV.
And I mean, I understand that, like, you know, it's about, I don't know, that they don't want these, I don't know, pieces of property being taken, or, I mean, I'm not quite sure.
The concern is that it ties it up and doesn't allow business to develop in a different direction.
But there's nothing else that thrives in town. That's the problem. I've made this speech before. I can go through 20 businesses that have had businesses in town that unfortunately have failed. And honestly, if you go down 63, before CFC was there, town could have bought it. Mattress Place, town could have bought it. Petrazillo's, town could have bought it. I mean, there's Billy's, town could still buy it. There's so many places on 63 that have failed. The old, whatever it was, hardware place, Lock, Stock, and Barrel bought it. Town could have bought it. That whole area that we're talking town center, town had the opportunity and dropped the ball. That's the truth. That's the truth. And if any of these businesses that were here, listen, Billy's, I miss Billy's. There's nothing in town to go eat at, okay? But one, if Billy's was doing so wonderfully, they'd still be here. And if they couldn't do it because they were having an issue with their family, their books would have shown great profit, and somebody would have scooped them up and bought them and continued a thriving business. They're not thriving. That's why.
Well, this is why it's a moratorium. We're still in review. So, I mean, we're giving it, and yes, we're giving it another year, but in the meantime, we're going to make it clear of what we can and cannot do, because the wording previously was very vague and
honestly,
unclear.
Read the way it was written would have forbidden anything. And so we're trying to clean that up. And thank you for suggesting an exception.
Yep.
That's what this is for. Okay?
Okay.
No, the other thing, just the amount of tax money coming into the town from these buildings.
I'm sorry?
The amount of tax money, I don't know if you guys are aware how much, because they're saying about the church. If you put all our business together, we're almost one of the #1 taxpayers. Every tenant that we have, they have to file. There's an oil company in one of our bills. They pay for their trucks taxes. If you run out of oil on a Saturday night, I'm sure Bethany Oil is going to jump in his truck and go to your house. The fire department of Woodbridge runs a big bay. They have all safety equipment in it. And Bethany borrows it if there's a problem.
I'm not saying it's
No,
not.
I'm just saying this, everything else doesn't do good. And I mean, it's your guys' decision. You should mandate what the buildings look like. That's why, like, I go the extra mile to do the wooden buildings to make it. It costs me a hell of a lot more money than metal building. And that's the reason I do it, because I live in town and make it look nice. I mean, I bought that old chemical place. That was one of the hazardous places in Connecticut. We ripped that freaking thing back. I was offered like $80,000 for 2 months to keep running that place. I said, no freaking way. That was a bad place. And we made it look like a house.
Okay, no, that's all fine.
And then,
And that's
like,
great,
business
and we
things, how
appreciate
do you
that, but that's not
classify
what
the
this is
businesses?
about.
Like a landscaper, lives in town. He runs his business out of that. He's paying taxes. So that's considered storage, that he's running his business out of there? And that he's not have the mowers all over his yard and his tractors and his pickups?
No, but
No, but you can't
to
have
be clear, again, I just want to point out the way this is written right now, it's a paid rental. So if you have a business right now where you're storing your things, you would not be bound by this because this is purely a rental.
No, but
No, but that landscaper rents from him is what
paying
he's saying.
us to rent the bay. That's fine. It's a business. They're paying on all their equipment in town for taxes. Is that allowed? Just want to clear it. That's allowed or not now?
Well, if it's currently existing, it's allowed for sure because it's not new. And we've heard your point. We get what you're saying.
I just want to, like, one thing. I'm hoping the church gets approved. That's all your guys' decision. Now, you do this moratorium, whatever you sign, in effect next couple of days. If the church gets denied, that property, the town attorney and our attorney, they came in front of you guys. The way it was written prior to this, it was allowed because there's storage in that building. Now, am I going to have an issue if unfortunately, the church gets denied? I can't put the artist or something in there or a business?
The building's built.
Yeah, I just, it's not.
Building's already built.
Yeah, no, you'd be
It
fine.
would be a change of purpose, just as
No,
the
they have
church
to
is.
come in front of you.
Yes, but it's not approving a new construction.
As the neighbor, I just want to make sure
Yeah,
we're
this is
set.
new construction.
Again, let's not
thank
talk
you.
about other people in the town. Let's
Yeah.
talk about projects. Let's talk about what's in front of us, which is the moratorium. Let's not bring other people in.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
And,
Thank you.
and this doesn't target anybody. I mean, this is
Right,
for
this
the
is not-
entire
this is-
town, and whatever we decide has a global effect on the entire town, not just your business.
Yeah.
But we've heard you.
Yeah,
We
thank
have,
you.
all right?
Good evening, Norman Cole, 89 Carrington Road, POLE. I didn't intend to speak to this tonight, but I'm just listening to the board's discussion amongst its own self. Let me just tell you from my experience with moratoriums, I think you're maybe setting a record. My experience with moratoriums, first of all, is you usually have a much more hostile audience of developers who are ready to sue you. You have to have your ducks in a row and know what regulation you're planning to adopt. You typically are limited to 6 months, 12 months, stretching it, and you're talking about going into year 3. And you don't sound like you know why you're doing it. I'm just listening to this and I'm saying to myself, do we have a problem with warehouses? I don't know the innards of all the Butler buildings in town. There may be a few. They're indistinguishable. So the question is, do we have a warehouse problem or do we have a problem with buildings that we look like warehouses, i.e. your metal corrugated building, the Butler buildings? I think you don't have a clear vision of why you're adopting the moratorium. And if you don't have that, you're surely not prepared to, in an expeditious way, propose and adopt new regulations. I think what you want, I think what the town wants is to sort of tone down these industrial looking boxes. And I think the moratorium got started along the lines of this emotional feeling of you got to do something, but you haven't made that clear. And I don't think you know what you're ready to do. If the town attorney was here and you were to ask their advice and he was to look at the last few times that moratoriums got challenged in court, he'd be very concerned about the length of time and the lack of clarity that you have. If it was me, I'd suggest that you let the current moratorium expire and you have a serious, this is a new group of people, substantial number of new people. You revisit the whole question and try to formulate a clear idea of what it is you want to adopt as regulations. And then you would establish a moratorium if you need one. There aren't people lined up out the door to build things in Bethany. And moratoriums are usually necessary when there's a real development crush going on. There's an overdevelopment. People are rushing to town, and to get a moment to breathe, to step back, to formulate a proposal, to propose it and adopt it, and then let the developers have their say. That's what moratoriums are for. So I just think you're kind of confused. That's my little bit.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to ask those of you who were here when this was initially proposed, I think had a pretty clear idea. I think you've ended up with muddled language. And I think the statement was pretty much what you said, which is that you didn't want to tie up new undeveloped or underdeveloped land with a large building that is just going to be essentially a warehouse, and wanted to make it available to other types of businesses. And therefore, you wanted to not have new warehouses coming in, but you were willing to allow those who were already operating a property as a warehouse business to continue to do so and to expand that business as they saw. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I think we do have a fairly clear direction that we want to go in. Right. The comment about the Butler buildings, which is a term I didn't know actually, was something that I had heard mentioned and came out, and I think was really more of a sidelight to this. I think it was a fairly clear directive we wanted to have. We just didn't get there with the previous language. And yes, you're right, a moratorium should be short, but that's what we're going into this saying, this is it. We're going to use this next year to come up with that more permanent solution. And I think that was the plan, and that was the intent all along. In terms of regulating appearance of buildings in these areas, you need a specific zoning overlay to do that. General zoning does not generally allow us to set design requirements. If we put in a village center or affordable housing overlay zone or something like that, we can speak to appearance. But in general, it's not, I think, something that we are generally. My understanding is it's discouraged in general zoning laws, but I may be wrong. We do we talk about lighting, we talk about other things, but we don't talk about we talk about overall height, bulk, but we don't talk about peak roofs and shingles and aesthetics.
In general, right.
So aesthetics in general zoning is generally discouraged, as I understand it. But all right, so
I think since we are a new body, it would be a good point to continue the moratorium for another year until we actually get a good plan. I mean,
but we need to get that good plan this time.
Yes, what the gentleman said kind of cuts both ways. Yes, nobody's really knocking down the door here, which is going to give us time to get the plan in place. So
then,
Chairman, can I make one comment?
Absolutely.
Based on what the young lady said, you had a problem with including any proposed additions there too for a period. How how would you change the word excluding any proposed addition?
Either that or strike the clause. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if like
We
remove.
should address it. Should address it.
Yeah.
No, and I'm welcoming comment.
I would agree that you need to be more specific than just striking the clause. And I think that you're on, my suggestion would be on any application for new warehouse and storage buildings as defining these regulations, excluding any proposed additions to existing such buildings for a period of 1 year.
I like
that
this.
that gets exactly what you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the gentleman on Zoom also agreed.
Right. Although technically he's the alternate, so he doesn't get the vote
He has
yet.
every right to speak.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Opinion.
That's right. You can give us your opinion, but you can't vote. Sorry.
Well, you may not vote tonight, and
Right.
he's on vacation. You may-
I am.
Okay, there you go. You may be a voting member.
All right.
Additions
I
to-
think-
But I think with that addition, I mean, I'd be ready to vote because we've gone over this a lot.
There are two things I want to say. I agree with changing it to excluding, because I think that's too restrictive.
Right.
That's too restrictive.
And that would
Number one.
answer your question.
And number two, to me, although the purpose seems not specific, the purpose for us is to get to work to propose B&I regulations that meet what we think as a commission would meet what we need. I know we have difficulty keeping business in town because of a number of different reasons. So we have an economic development commission that's trying to work hard to bring business into town. So our regulations should be friendly to those businesses as much as they can. So over the next year, while this moratorium is in effect, we need to work to try to get those regulations in place, taking input from Economic Development Commission and others to see if we can get that in place. If we can't get that in place, then to me, the moratorium should be just a year.
Absolutely.
And then,
So to that end, I agree that I don't anticipate renewing this moratorium again. If we can't come up with an appropriate wording in the next year, then we're not doing it right, and we should just let it go because then there is no need for this restriction.
I think we need a couple special meetings here and there.
Yep, I'm glad you said that because, yeah,
Because that's
Yeah.
the problem. We typically never,
right. But
We made-
there's a lot of
Yeah,
this background work, the planning part of our planning and so
I
on.
agree. I think we need some special meetings.
don't forget, it's not just this
Sorry.
major issue of redoing our P&I, it's housing as well. So over the next year, we have significant responsibilities that are going to require additional meetings.
Right, we got the POCD, we got a lot of things.
But to get back to the moratorium, I think the purpose is clear, and that we need to do the work. And then I would be comfortable approving the moratorium with that language
Yeah.
excluding.
So let me read, I will read you the amended section. The rest is not changed. Section 1.7, the Town of Bethany Planning and Zoning Commission hereby establishes a moratorium on any application and permitting for new warehouse and storage buildings as defined in these regulations, excluding any proposed additions to existing such buildings for a period of 1 year from the date of passage of this moratorium.
Can I just make a comment, though? The way that's phrased, it's modifications to existing buildings. That as phrased could prohibit putting a brand new building on my
You make
already.
a point, yeah, so I'm trying to.
So can that be crafted to, you know where I'm going?
Excluding any type of construction for,
Because the way it's worded, it just talks.
Okay,
about-
excluding any proposed additions or new construction on lots already containing such
that
building.
sounds better.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That seems to fit the bill.
Is that,
Clear on that wording then?
yeah,
Did you capture it? Did you restate that?
I'm just gonna write it on here for a second. Give me 1 second.
Excluding any proposed additions.
And or construction or and or.
So let me write what I'm writing here. And you tell me if you like it. For new warehouses or storage buildings as defined in these regulations, excluding any proposed additions or new construction on lots containing such structures for a period of 1 year from.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Does that fit? Yeah,
You got a green light
you
for me.
okay with that?
Yes, I am.
I think it works.
I just,
And you're okay?
I am. Yep, that's exactly what I was looking for. I am. I'm good.
All right, so let's go with that then.
one other thing.
Yes.
Under section 3, visibility from a public highway,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to make sure that, that we really direct the screening as described in our current regulations. We have a whole landscaping section in the B&I zone. That should be the guiding regulation rather than this statement, because it may be different from what's in the regulations.
Do we just add an ad
Yeah.
directed in the
Yeah, so, right,
regulations?
yeah, so that would be, any proposed should be adequately screened from the public highway according to,
In accordance
in
with,
accordance with regulations, zoning regulations.
Does that make sense, Hiram?
Or amended.
You're right.
Does that make sense, Hiram?
The current regulations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because they're pretty extensive, so I would want them to be followed rather than a statement here. in the-
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
that's a good pickup.
yeah, because this would be narrower.
Yes.
So just one more time, just want to be really clear. Including any proposed additions or new construction.
On lot
Yeah.
containing such structures. Containing existing such structures, that is,
Approved,
yeah.
already approved.
Well, if it's approved, it's existing, in my opinion.
Right.
I'm not a lawyer. Does that work? All right, so that gives the exception that everyone wanted. That gives business the ability to expand. But that also means that we're not going to just be mushrooming everywhere with a bunch of these for a year. And we've got a year, so let's use that year.
That'd be July of 28, 6, 7.
July of 27, this is going to go one way or the other.
Make it effective July 24th. You're gonna close the public hearing,
Mhm.
then you're gonna vote.
Right.
The amendment is gonna be July 8th, effective July 24th.
Okay, where does that go?
When you make the motion.
Oh, okay.
So first you got to close the public.
Is there any further comment? All right. Any comment from the from the commission? Anyone? We're good? All right. A motion to, I
I
will
move that we close the public hearing.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And now I will make a motion that we accept the moratorium language
Oh, wait a
as,
minute. When you say close the public hearing on this matter only,
yes,
yes.
sorry, yes. That, well, each hearing is a public hearing
Oh, okay,
separately.
got it.
So, it's not the meeting, it's just the hearing. So I would like to make a motion that we accept the language that we've just crafted here, effective July 24th. And, right, 2026. And so therefore it will expire July 24th, 2027, because it's a 1-year moratorium. All right, so clock is ticking.
23rd.
It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. It's the 20, it's a
usually-
year,
it's
a year is a year.
A day prior, whatever. It's okay.
A day prior?
Normally it's a year.
Well, we're not there yet, so we won't worry.
Well, we're not stipulating when it expires. We're stipulating when it starts.
Yes.
And however that clock is calculated. All right. Any further comments? All those in favor, aye?
Did you have a second to your motion?
No.
Oh, can I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
I thought I heard a second, but I mean, we started talking about when it was going to end, so I kind of assumed that was a second, but you're right. Okay, there's a second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? All right, so that's done. We've got our extension for 1 year, and then then it's over. And then Yes, motion to adjourn because we've run out of business because this is,
I would make a motion to adjourn.
all right. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right, thank you all. Thank you for staying online too.
Absolutely.
I will not be here next month.
You will not